So the first question we have is from Dmitry Hodtukit. Sorry if I mispronounced that. They ask, what type of dungeons would you like to see in Breath of the Wild? Thank you for feeding my needs. So yeah, you guys, what kind of dungeons do you think we should expect for Breath of the Wild? Do you think it'll be more of the traditional dungeons that we see, where there's the fire-themed dungeon, the water-themed dungeon, maybe a shadow-themed dungeon? What do you guys expect us to get in this game?
At least for me, I am a sucker for Shadow Temple themed dungeons and things like that. Mainly because the first dungeon I ever played in any Zelda game is the Shadow Temple in Ocarina of Time. Reason for that is because I got an old Ocarina of Time that was used, and then there was a file already there, so I played that file. I was in the Shadow Temple, and as like a 7 or 8 year old kid playing through the Shadow Temple with skulls on the wall and blood everywhere, it left an impression. So yeah, I would definitely like to see something like that in Breath of the Wild. I'm not sure how exactly it will fit in, since the most we've seen are shrines, not necessarily the traditional dungeons we all know and love, but they might still be in there as well. And I would like to see Breath of the Wild in general showcase more lore, because I just love that stuff and I need that for theories, so Nintendo has to help me out. Well, not really. So yeah, those are my hopes.
I agree like 100%. The Shadow Temple is actually one of my favorites, and your theories on the whole Shadow Temple are like honestly one of my favorites, Andy.
Thanks.
But yeah, and then again with the whole lore thing, I'm praying, I'm hoping so hard. I mean, especially with this revolving so much around the Sheikah, and like us knowing such little about the Sheikah, I think more in-depth lore would be great for this game. And like if it ties in with dungeons, perfect.
Our second question comes from Sethicus, who asks, would you like to play or see Link as an elder in later titles? So basically old man Link. Do you think this would be a good ideal for a Zelda game, or is it something that you think they should avoid?
I actually really love the idea, since on a side note, I'm a huge Metal Gear fan, and for some reason I always think Link could be a good big boss archetype. For those who don't know, Metal Gear Big Boss is like well, he's like the father of Solid Snake, kind of. And then he has a missing eye, he wears an eye patch, and the hero Shade is kind of similar. He lost an eye, we don't know exactly how though. And so I always like the notion, like, we have a battle-hardened Link that just went through the ravages of war, and then is trying to look for meaning in life, and then just has a midlife crisis. And wow, that sounds more weird. But I do love that notion. I'm not sure if Nintendo will ever explore that, but I would welcome it if it happened.
Yeah, I would like to see if they did do something like that. Then even if the Elder Link wasn't a playable Link, maybe you're playing as, for example, Twilight Princess Link, who's been the oldest Link so far, I think. Imagine him being 60 years old, 70 years old. He's an old man. He can't go out and adventure on his own. But you're playing in some kind of sequel for Twilight Princess, to where you're playing as either his son or his grandson, sort of in the same relationship as the Hero of Time turning into the Hero Shade in Twilight Princess, and kind of mentoring Link with the different sword techniques and hidden skills. If Link from Twilight Princess or another game was still alive and shown as an elderly man that can't be the hero anymore, and throughout playing the game, maybe you're going to certain dungeons or certain areas to find items that he's hidden for the next hero down the line, and once you get them, he shows you how to use them. I would like to see something like that, and I think that would be a great way to introduce an elderly Link to the series, while also being a traditional Zelda game to where you're still playing as either the young Link or the teen Link.
I like that idea. That would be cool, but with Breath of the Wild, I mean, Link is waking up 100 years later from something.
Yeah.
So, where would the older Link? How old would he be? Unless it's like you said, like the Hero Shade. I think that would be cool too.
Yeah.
Something similar to that.
I wasn't saying necessarily in Breath of the Wild, just another Zelda game down the line.
Yeah. Okay, then yeah, that would be cool. I like that idea too.
Alright, well, our final question comes from Ghostlayer Gaming, who has kind of a silly question, I think. But they ask, do you think that Termina will be accessible in Breath of the Wild?
No.
And
for my answer on this, I don't think Termina necessarily will be, but there's always that chance that they add in a second world, like A Link Between Worlds had Lorule, Ocarina of Time had the past and the future, Twilight Princess had the Twilight Realm and the normal Hyrule versions of all the different lands. So I think there could be that second world experience in this game. Maybe it's something as simple as the night and day system they have, but I don't think you're necessarily going to see anything related to Termina. Maybe there's a reference, like in A Link Between Worlds, how Majora's Mask was hanging on the wall, and it was just kind of a throwaway, silly reference. But I don't think anything prominent relating this game to Termina will be in the game. What do you guys think?
At least for me, I have a little theory of mine that Link will be able to go back in time 100 years before he was in the Resurrection Chamber, and go back and forth to see a Hyrule at its peak and Hyrule at its ruin, to see that kind of juxtaposition between what's Hyrule like consumed by the wilderness and what Hyrule is like at its hegemonic peak. May or may not happen. The Temple of Time that's shown within Breath of the Wild, it's interesting because within every single instance that the Temple of Time is shown in the Zelda series, there's always some instance of time travel. Skyward Sword did it, Ocarina of Time did it, and Twilight Princess did it too. When you went, well, kind of, you went to this like portal thing and you went to Temple of Time when it was actually all preserved and such. And we see the Temple of Time again in Breath of the Wild. It may or may not have time travel mechanics in it. It's just a prediction of mine, since all the other Temple of Times you can travel in some degree. Maybe you can time travel in this one, but it's not going to be as grand as I would like it to be. But who knows?
Interesting that you brought up the whole time travel thing, because I had a comment a day or two ago
from someone, Darkader27, who says it's known that you travel back 100 years in the past, and that's when you interact with civilizations. Learn your facts before you post clickbait. So, like with him saying that and now you saying that, have you seen anywhere, like any official statements made that you're going to be doing any form of time travel, or is this just a thought that you've had?
It's mainly a thought. I don't really have any like empirical evidence to back it up. I may or may not put it into a theory, but it's ultimately just a theory, like my Link is a clone theory, which is really more like a headcanon at this point. Nobody really knows definitively what Breath of the Wild will be in terms of scope. And so it's just fun to kind of like ponder and speculate what Breath of the Wild will be, and what will it not be. For example, the Master Sword and it being rusted, that is its own thing. People have theorized on what it will be, and there's all those questions up in the air. And of course, where Breath of the Wild fits into the Zelda timeline, which is basically like the foremost question a lot of Zelda theorists are trying to answer, or attempting to answer. So until the game actually comes out, or Miyamoto just whips out all of like the answers in one night, we're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, I'll be checking my cell phone for that text from Miyamoto to confirm.
Whether or not.
But yeah, like you had a good point, and especially whenever you brought up Skyward Sword, because when people think about time travel in a Zelda game, the first comes to mind is Ocarina of Time, because that's basically what that game is about. And they don't really remember that in Skyward Sword, throughout most of the game, at certain points when you're using the time shift stones, you're traveling back and forth between time. You're not changing the whole world, but at least that area around you. And then once you finally make it to the gate of time inside the Temple of Time, you're able to fully travel all the way back in time, and you get to see the elder Impa and the young Impa that is taking Zelda on this journey throughout the game. So, time travel, and even in Wind Waker, I think you kind of have that weird portal where you go back in time for the one dungeon. And then in Twilight Princess, when you enter into the Spirit Temple as a dungeon, you travel through time. So it's been in many different games. It's not a prominent feature, but I think it'll continue with Breath of the Wild to where some form or another, maybe we've seen like the goddess statue inside the Temple of Time in one of the trailers Nintendo showed off. It was glowing. Maybe after you do certain events or something happens and you can travel to where the temple is completely fixed in order to do some task or to get a certain item. I think something like that will happen. And like in Darkader 27's comment, being able to interact with different civilizations when you travel back and forth through time, I think that may be possible, but to my knowledge, it's just theories and
like
Speculation.
fan wishes.
Yeah, I don't think it's been confirmed anywhere because, like, I responded to the comment saying like it would be a big deal if it were confirmed, and for you not to know, me not to know, and Andy not to know whether it was confirmed or not already kind of says it's not been confirmed.
yeah, and those three questions are all that I have. So unless any of you have any final thoughts to add on Breath of the Wild, we can go ahead and end it.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a great game. I'm already extremely hyped for it. On a side note, again, completely not related to this topic at all, I just finished with this animation with the witch Halloween Mercy from Overwatch. It is looking pretty great. I'm going to post it soon on the Twitters. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, keep an eye out for that. And if people want to go watch it on your Twitter, where could they find you at?
Oh, mine is at McIntyre Product, or just look up McIntyre Productions. I theoretically post twice every week, but in practice I don't. And I need to fix that. Like, I could do a weekly schedule, but bi-weekly, since I'm a college student, it's getting kind of hectic. So yeah, I'm actually going to upload another video either tonight or tomorrow. And I'm working on a second channel with animations, which I'm doing stuff on that right now.
And for those watching that for some reason may not know, what can they expect to see in the near future on your main channel?
On the main channel, I'm working on another countdown video. Recently, I believe it's called Top 5 Creepy Sightings of Pokemon Go. That did extremely successful. So I'm doing another creepy top 5 video on not the same subject, but a different subject altogether. And after that, I'm actually doing theories on other games. Well, I'm going to say it right now since I'm going to announce it pretty soon. I'm doing a theory on Overwatch. And
that'll be great.
Yeah, and hopefully that'll be its own thing.
Yeah, I think Cece earlier mentioned that she was going to start playing Overwatch next week. Was that right?
Yeah, I have a few friends that recently just started messaging me to start playing with them, so I'm gonna get.
Well, now you have some awesome theories to look forward to if you like the game. So, Cece, Cecilia, whatever you want to be called.
Where could people find you, and what kind of stuff could they expect coming from you in the near future?
On my YouTube channel, Cecizi, I'll pop up. Future videos, I have one possible theory, more like just a backstory type of video for Skyward Sword coming up. I did mention, I think, in a previous video that Zelda Master said he would do some audio for that, so I'm working on that one. I'm also on Twitch. Currently don't have a camera, so when I do stream, it's just audio. So if you just want to hear me talk and play games, you can find me with the same username, Sasizi. I'm sure Jesse will type it somewhere for you to see.
Yeah, links to everything will be in the description. And finally, thank both of you for joining me on this discussion.
Thanks for having us.
What's up, everyone? This is Jesse, and welcome to the Inslate. I would like to thank you for watching this video. If you're a fan of my Zelda or gaming news theory or discussion videos like this, please consider supporting this channel by donating through patreon.com/gameoverjesse, where you can get new videos early, be able to join on discussion or theory videos, get shoutouts, and tons of other great rewards. Thank you all so much for allowing me to do this, watching my videos, and especially you Alex Myers, Jonathan, The Itch Network, and John Frank for your support on Patreon.